everyone, welcome to Roll Call. Today we have a very special, not so mini episode dedicated to the one, to the only Bennifer, Lopez Affleck, which by happy surprise in 2021 you would think, oh, do you mean the new age Jen and Ben? Oh, no. We are kicking it old school to where it all began in 2002. I'm your host, Simone.
And I'm your host, Bria. And this is another bonus episode of Jennifer Lopez's personal life. And I just want to say that I'm going to make a conscious effort to not call her J-Lo.
Okay.
This episode. I feel like this era is very Jennifer. It's very personal. It's very formal. Yeah.
Is that because of just the general, like, the scope of the album that we're discussing today? Or, like, is it because we're seeing a bit more of, like, a softer side this week?
Yes. I think that crosses over into everything of this era, of this time frame with her. But yes, definitely the softness of Jennifer Lopez is very, very present in the Bennifer era.
Absolutely. So, well, let's get into it, because I know some of the things we have on the discussion table. We have her studio album, This Is Me Then. We have some general pop culture relationship stuff to talk about. We've watched interviews, both independent and together with Ben Affleck. We've watched music videos, behind the scenes, proposals. There's much to discuss.
I was like, you watched their proposal? What?
No. I'm sure it would have been a sight to behold, but I mean, just the quickness that this proposal came onto, I think, is definitely worth discussing about.
All right. Well, so usually we start these episodes off with her CD at the time. So let's talk about This Is Me Then, which came out in November of 2002. Right after Thanksgiving.
Oh.
November 26th.
Nice. I can imagine being full at the Thanksgiving table and being like, you know what sounds good? Not a second piece of pie, but this Jennifer Lopez album.
It probably was like a good album that people bought Black Friday on Christmas, like
absolutely,
for their kids.
And that probably
get her the new J-Lo.
Yeah, and that probably helped a lot with album sales, because this was like number 2 in the US. It sold 2.6 million copies, but about 6 million worldwide. That's a lot.
Wow, yeah. I think this album, though, is like the least successful of her first 3.
Yeah.
It wasn't as big as J-Lo and On the 6. But, woo, man, this album. Okay. So, Simone, you text me and said that you had some thoughts about this album. So, please share.
Okay. So I did not own this studio album as a child, and after listening to it a few times through now, I know why. It's not great. You know, what I really enjoyed about On the 6 and the J-Lo album is that there were a lot of dance hits. It's very fun and poppy, and those are the songs that I associate with music awards and that whole J-Lo ambiance and personality. This Is Me Then is no doubt a very intimate album. It is 100% inspired by her relationship with Ben Affleck. And dare I say, if this album was a precursor to their relationship, I mean...
By precursor, do you mean like before they got together?
Sorry, I mean like, if, in my opinion, this album was kind of a flop, which is not alike, which I think is, what do you call that? Like not a precursor, but like very parallel, I guess, to their
Yes.
relationship, I suppose. But
Aw.
you know, I know, I'm sorry. And it's funny, like in my notes, so I did it a couple of different ways to listen to this album. The first thing I did was I did something different, which is I put it on shuffle. And then the second time through and the third time through, I listened to it from one through the last one. I listened to it all in order. And I did that because I didn't want to have that predictability.
Hmm.
I wanted to feel surprised. And I don't know if it's just because I was having like a rough week at work for whatever reason, but I was listening to it on my commute home. And I was like, I don't know, I just didn't have a good time listening to it. And like when I listened to it again and I was writing down notes, I kept on saying like LOL, sorry, like as if Bennifer is ever going to look at my notebook of my notes on her. But truly, I apologize. And it's funny because I like slow songs. I tend to really like ballads because I'm such a karaoke bitch, but these were a no for me. This is a no for me, dog.
Damn, we're really starting to part ways on this Jennifer Lopez road we've been on. I think we've hit a fork in the road. um, well, I feel differently about This Is Me than I know you always hype up my musical analysis, but a lot of people think this, like, I think this sound for her really suits her voice. So I
Mm-hmm.
really appreciated that about this album. The two singles that I knew the most from this album, which is of course Jenny from the Block and then All I Have with LL Cool J,
Yes.
they actually feel really weird in this album. Like once you get to them, like I enjoy them, but at the same time, like they're out of place, and you can tell that they're songs that are like these are going to be hit singles, so we gotta do these songs. But
Absolutely.
thematically, like you said, like this album is very much Jennifer Lopez in love and talking about love. And initially, like I was kind of like, oh my God, girlfriend, like come on.
Tone it
It
down.
Yeah, and it's funny because so when making this album, she said she had like this one diary, like notebook that she was writing like
Mm-hmm.
songs in and stuff. And this album to me is very much like reading or listening to like her diary of her just like being in love with Ben Affleck and
Yes.
reading like love letters to him, which is, it can be awkward. I feel like I'm also a little bit tainted by Bennifer 2.0 because I'm like, oh my God, like this is perfect. Like, no wonder like this is happening again. She was like really fucking in love with him.
She
And
was really fucking in love with him. And you're right. I wrote the same thing. I was like, the lyrics sound like a high school girl with a very intense crush, or maybe like your first college love, like something that's really raw and real. And that's not to say what happened with Cris Judd and P. Diddy and like all her other previous relationships and stuff were not real, but like there's such a different sound to these lyrics. And I know
yeah,
that she did take it upon herself to be more of a co-writer and to write her own lyrics and have more of a say in the sound of the album. So everything that you're saying makes absolute sense.
yes. And to the naysayers, she sings a lot on this album.
She
There are
does.
background vocalists, but like Dear Ben is all her, which
Yep.
also like that song. Wow. In my notes, I wrote notes as I was listening to it and as well for like each song. And that song, I was like, okay, girl, we get it. Like you are simping hard. Like the fact that
Yes.
first of all, that song was named Perfect, which she says in the song, so it makes sense. But then
Mm-hmm.
she changed it to be bold enough that it's Dear Ben. So, like, whatever happened with them, she has this song that is clearly about him.
Oh yeah.
Whereas, like, Perfect, you could write that off as, like, oh, obviously I was in love at that time, but, it's like anyone can relate to this. Like, nah, she, like, stamped this song and
She
was
sure
like,
did.
yeah.
But,
So,
at least the name Ben isn't in the lyrics,
yes.
so that you could still sing it about someone else, but have it not be applied. But I agree, it's very bold to put the name in the title of the song. And despite the last 5 minutes of what I just said about this album, I really liked, I forgot about her collab with All I Have with LL Cool J. I'm very fond of LL Cool J, and I
How can
like,
you not be Todd Smith?
I
Whew.
know. I like him a lot. And with her previous album, we had talked about her collaborating with Ja Rule and all that stuff. So it
Mhm.
was just kind of nice to get something a little bit different with this album. But like Dear Ben is actually my favorite non-single song from the album. But I will say it's the chorus for me. It's the
Mhm.
melody of it that I really like. It's a very sweet and touching song. There are some lyrics that I would change. I don't like calling men my king. I That made me very uncomfortable. But
Yeah.
other than that, like it's a beautiful song. I actually really
Yeah.
like that one.
My favorite non-single song is Still, like, and that's the first song.
Uh-huh.
And I think it's a really good opening song, and
Mm-hmm.
it breaks away from what she did with On the Six and J-Lo, where her singles were her opening songs.
Yes.
So I was like, oh, this is different. And it's like it's kind of upbeat and it's got a nice groove to it. And so someone said allegedly, I think on Wikipedia, I read that allegedly people think it's about Puff Daddy because it's about like a kind of love loss. I don't
Mm-hmm.
know. I mean, it could
Mm-hmm.
be inspired by that situation, just like as a like, oh, like I've been through this, but not necessarily like I'm gonna write a song for Puff Daddy, like
Yeah.
kind of thing. But I really like that song. I get excited to listen to the album because of that song. So it like carries me through to the other songs. And then I'm actually surprised because I'm Glad is like the weakest single in terms of like numbers and stuff. But I
Yes.
really love the instrumental of I'm Glad. Like it just gets me like so hype. Like it's such a groove. It's like this jazzy, like I don't know how to explain it, but like I could just listen to the instrumental of it and like vibe. Like I love it. Did you watch any of the music videos for, I mean, Jenny from the Block is obviously iconic, but
Yes. I To be honest, I only watched Jenny from the Block, and I watched that after Ben Affleck and Jennifer Lopez's press. It's like that really long 30-minute, well, I say really long, but it's that 30-minute interview talking about Gigli and then their personal relationship and
oh
stuff and
yeah.
like falling in love.
It's like with
Um,
Pat O'Brien.
uh-huh. And he's really hawking up some stuff in Geely. So I know right before we started recording, you had said, like, I was thinking that I would watch this with Kevin. You were like, I don't know, she's pretty hot now. Which
Okay.
the interviewer for that one was very much like, let's talk about that yoga scene. So I'm
Oh
curious
my God. Yes.
to
Well, I don't want to spoil it. So, yes, we will have to like get back to the
Yeah.
music.
Also, I don't want
But
to step on the toes of our resident sex scene expert, but but anyways, I watched Jenny from the Block because what I remember most about that music video is that it was him. He was in it, and it
Mhm.
was like them escaping their paparazzi, and just what it's like to be this huge power celebrity couple. And I know we'll get more into that when we're done talking about her album, but that was the only music video I watched.
Yeah, so Jenny from the Block, I definitely remember watching the making of the video for that,
Hmm.
and I rewatched that, and it was everything I remembered. It's funny though because I saw in an interview like a couple years ago, Ben actually was saying that he regretted doing that like video,
Really?
and I think either in the making of the video or something, like Jennifer Lopez was very much like, "Are you sure you want to do this?" Like, and he was, I'm assuming, trying to be like the very supportive boyfriend and was like, "Yeah, let's do it." But I think he thinks, and I agree with this probably, that like that just heightened like everything for them because they really played into what was already happening to them,
Yeah.
which is actually the opposite of the intention of that video, I think. And that video really should be like a lesson for us consumers that like how misconstrued like the tabloids and that kind of media and celebrity news because it's not real news, but
Mhm.
some of us care about it. I kind of care about it. And how misconstrued a lot of that stuff is. Like, when he's like on his knee and he's giving her something, and that could be misconstrued as him proposing to her, or
Right.
like something's wrong with her eye. And so he's like trying to like help her get something out of her eye, but it looks like, he's crying, or it looks like they're fighting and all this stuff.
Yes.
And it's all like these like, they're picking this one shot to make a story out of, and like it's not even anything serious, which could bring us to Bennifer 2.0, because they could legit just be like, hey, like, you want to hang out, like we're both single, let's hang out, and not even be fucking, and just be like just
That's
chilling as
true.
friends, and we're all just like fawning over it, like, oh my God, they're back together. We have no clue. They have not said anything. They have not held
Yes.
nary a hand or kissed or anything to really make us believe that. But we're just so like, oh, yes, sign me
Yes.
up.
Well, the last tabloid I bought was one where Leonardo and Kate, it was like several years ago, but Leonardo DiCaprio and Kate Winslet went on like a weekend
Mm,
getaway. She might have like either just went through a divorce and she brought her kids, and they've been friends forever since the Titanic days. And I know that their friendship is very, very strong and they will always just be friends. But the way that the tabloids chalked it up was like, it's finally happening,
yeah, I
romantic
remember that.
getaway. And I went so far to take a selfie with it and post it on Instagram. I don't know if you remember that picture.
No, I don't. I feel like I vaguely do now that you've said that, but okay, I'm here for it.
But even though I know it was false, like the fangirl in me still like, you want it to be a little true.
Yeah. Oh man. I feel so guilty like buying into this, because they are people and this is really like private life shit.
Totally.
Sign me up for a celebrity relationship. I'm all in that shit. I'm like, "Oh, what are you doing?" No, like I feel kind of bad, but it is what it is. Like
Mhm.
I think at some point we have to respect their privacy too. So,
Yep.
but moving on from Jenny from the Block, I will say that for this album, to me, I feel like, well, the J-Lo videos were I really enjoyed them, but I feel like these videos are really, really strong too.
Mhm.
Jenny from the Block is great. I really like I'm Glad because it like pays homage to Flashdance. And
Yeah, didn't she catch some flack for that though? Weren't
yeah,
people a
she
little
got
like pissy
sued.
about it?
Yeah, she got sued by I'm assuming the movie studio, because it's so similar, which I didn't know you
Yeah.
could do that, but apparently so.
I guess they
And
like own the rights to that dance. What, sitting on a chair and like
yeah, I don't know. I don't know how that works, but I will say that I have a theory that I'm not sure, because again, music is so vast, but I feel like this is one of the first, or I said one of, okay, not the first, but one of the first videos that we see that pays homage to a very popular movie. And if you think about it, like Iggy Azalea, Fancy, it has Clueless references in it.
Mhm.
Ariana Grande, Thank You Next, has
Oh
like,
yeah.
Mean
Mean
Girls,
Girls.
13 going on 30, all
Yeah.
these movie references. So I was like, I'm gonna give JLo some points here, because she kind of did it first, and I think she chose a really iconic movie, and she like did the she did her thing. Like it worked really well with the song.
Yeah. Well, now I'm curious, did like Iggy or Ariana get sued, or do you think that they like asked for some kind of rights or permission to use like images of those movies?
Yeah, I'm not sure. I don't know how that works. I'd be curious to know. Like I should have looked that up. But yeah, because I I feel like it's obviously not a movie. Like it's not a direct like whole ass movie of Flashdance. It's a music video.
Hmm.
So it's like, how do you copyright scenes? Like, and what about spoof movies?
Yeah.
Like Scary Movie, or all the spoof movies of Scary Movie, like 300, all that kind of stuff. Like,
Hmm.
are they like are they also like infringing upon some kind of copyright by making fun of those movies?
I think there has to be some kind of permission or consent from the studio, because I know, and I know this is like off topic, but like whenever Saturday Night Live does a skit based off of a movie or uses it, any likeness to a character, I'm thinking of like when they do a Disney spoof or a farce or anything like that, like they have to get permission from Disney to do that to make sure that there's nothing that's going to be disorienting to the magic. And I say the magic in quotes, but yeah.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
That's kind of sucky. Whatever, that's booty.
Yeah. They
uh,
and I think there's like if there's permission, I think they also have to pay some kind of a fee to use.
oh, yeah, I don't know. I just feel like that was crappy, and it surprises me that that song didn't do that well because that music video was really good. So interesting. I
I'm
do love
glad.
the yeah, I
Yeah.
do love the music video for All I Have.
Mm-hmm.
That music video is such a vibe. All the goodness. LL Cool J looks amazing.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of romantic. And then I really wished you watched Baby I Love You because obviously that song is very like syrupy sweet. But
Yes.
like she's just like rolling around in like a bed in like cami and underwear and like very yes. So
Oh.
you're missing out. But I also wanted to say about I'm glad that I love the line where she's like, I think I'm in love, damn, finally. Like, I was like, yes, I feel that for you, Jayla.
I feel that for you. And it sucks because I want to like that. Again, I'm Glad is one of those songs that I want to like. But I mean, I'm just gonna read some of the lyrics from the chorus of I'm glad when I'm making love to you. I'm glad for the way you make me feel. I love it because you seem to blow my mind every time. I'm glad when I walk, you hold my hand. I'm happy that you know how to be a man. I'm glad that you came into my life. I'm so glad.
I will say that I did write that the know how to be a man line was kind of shady.
It it's shady, but and then again she talks about like being a perfect blend, masculine. I don't know, it's just it's I again, this is very much a diary journal-esque kind of song. Um and it's I know there's good intention behind it and it's sweet and she's in love, but when I heard those lyrics I was just like ooh, I don't know. Maybe it's like all these years of working with like middle schoolers that I'm just like, and I grade these like shitty papers day after day after day, and I'm just like, I just want something good.
School year's almost over. It's okay.
I'm so sorry if my students ever go back, if they ever hear me say this. It's a small percentage of papers that suck, but
I
yeah.
I will say that I feel like at this point, I think the fork in the road where we're splitting is that you're still very impartial, and I'm very much drinking the Jennifer Lopez Kool-Aid and like swimming in the glow perfume and everything. And I can't stop. as much as I as much as I want to. I'm I'm a fan now, so I just like I'm glad makes me happy for her, even though like that version of Bennifer isn't this version, even though this version makes me like, oh, this is so timely that I'm
Yeah.
listening to this album. But like, but yeah, it's like, yeah, girl, I'm glad you finally found all that too.
I'm glad for you. And I
Yeah.
do, I am, so I'm simultaneously, while having this conversation, I have the song on mute, but I have the Vivo music video of Baby I Love You playing in the background because
Oh yes.
color me intrigued. There's something so sensual about a woman just rolling around in white linens.
I mean, that's why I brought it up. So,
I wonder if Miley Cyrus was inspired by this song because she had that song on the album Banger called Adore You, and it's spelled No, it's not you. It's spelled Y-O-U, but she's essentially rolling around, kind of masturbating and rubbing her cooch a little bit, but she's just rolling around bed, like singing about like how much I think that song was inspired by Liam Hemsworth, but
Yeah.
it's
I
similar. But J-Lo just has
I'll
such
have to
a
watch that video
classy,
because I've never.
sensual way.
Yeah. I just think this, I'm not sure. I feel like this is it's like a trope really type of music video, you
Yeah.
know. So uh I don't
But
think it's super creative or anything, but
I love this. Always liked Jennifer Lopez with like this light honey blonde
mhm.
hair. I know you have a little bit of a different opinion on it, but
I
this
just didn't
looks,
like her hair and angel eyes. Like
oh,
that was
yeah.
like too blonde.
It was too blonde.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I really like her hair in this music video. And this looks like a makeup look that I probably would have tried to emulate but failed miserably because it's this beautiful, like baby pink,
Mhm.
icy eyeshadow on the top lid and the bottom lid. And then just, which really makes her green eyes, like hazel eyes, pop. And then she has just like a shimmery pink nude lip gloss lipstick situation. But yeah, she's not like, it's supple, but it's not glam. But it's very pretty. It's like kind of like day after waking up in the morning kind of look.
Yeah.
I'm into
Yeah.
it.
I don't know what else to say about it. You described it beautifully, and I'm not watching it, so I can only think about what's in my mind. And I agree, it's amazing. It's one of her most simple videos too,
Oh,
but
yeah, I
I
mean,
feel like it works.
it almost looks like it was taken in one shot, but probably not. I mean, maybe it was taken in one simultaneous shot and then they just kind of like clipped it up here and there, but it's low budget in that, not that that makes it sound bad, but it's she's in one room. It's a close
Mhm.
up of her and
It's
yeah,
very intimate.
it's very intimate.
Yeah. You know what surprised me is that that Jenny from the Block only peaked at number 3. I feel like that
Huh.
song was everywhere, especially because the content of the music video. Like that that shocked me. It was not a
Yeah.
number 1.
Well, yeah, that one. I mean, let's talk about Jennifer Lopez in that fur coat and underwear that looks like her Versace dress, baby.
Oh, on the beach? Yes.
Uh-huh.
Yes.
And
Oh my god.
so that music video, I'm glad, I mean, I'm not glad that I watched it. I now have all I have playing in the background on mute as I'm looking at this like beautiful pink fur-lined coat as she's walking in the dead ass winter. But mad props to both her and LL Cool J who are wearing what's Kangol? Is that the hat name?
Uh-huh.
She has a fur Kangol and he has just the classic
Yes.
on, but
LL
I know
Dimples.
I love LL Cool J.
Dimples and abs.
I think
Like
he's just so cute. Like he's so cute.
except I will say LL Cool J is the most famous hat fisher there is because no lie. He's been bald for a while,
But
like a
I think he
long
pulls
time.
it off when you see him just bald as is. But yeah,
I don't. And that's because he usually has on some form of like a hat. And then when
yeah,
like you have
or
to
like a
normalize,
bandana.
yeah, you have to normalize the baldness because then
Uh-huh.
when you just whip it out, it's like, oh shit, like I didn't know your head was shaped like like that under there. But like I don't think it detracts anything from him, but it's a step. It's like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
Like, I don't look half as good as LL Cool J's left dimple, so I don't have a room to talk. But but those are my thoughts. What else is pulling you about the All I Have video?
I want to try and recreate this makeup look. So in this music video, Jennifer has her kind of more natural brown hair with the like golden highlights. She has in the chorus, where she's duetting with LL Cool J, she has this beautiful, like almost 60s mod-esque type of eyeshadow going on, where it's like a triangle cutting down from below the brow bone. And it's just it's very glam. It's very glossy. It's nude, pale, shimmery lipstick, but like a very, very bold eye. It's very, I don't know, is hip hop appropriate? Like, I don't know. It's just like
Yeah.
this is a look that I would associate with Jennifer Lopez a lot.
Hip hop is totally appropriate because that's what it is.
Yeah. She's rocking hoops in like every scene. She's wearing her big hoops.
Yes, yes. It's very New York too. So
Very New York.
I feel like this and Jenny from the Block are like the only times we really get Jenny from the Block or J-Lo from this album. And everything else feels very Jennifer.
Jennifer. Yeah. Agreed.
And I think at this time, like I saw an interview, I'm trying to think which one it is, but like where she's talking about, she's like, you know, like J-Lo, like people just ran with it. I didn't want to be like switch my name to that. Like I prefer being called Jennifer.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was like, oh damn. I feel like part of that is like her relationship with Ben and just where she was in life. I feel like it was a very mature time for her. And and so of course you don't want to go by kind of like your street name, like your rap name.
It almost reminds me when you meet someone's parents and you're like, oh, hi, Mr. or Mrs. Blank, but then they're like, oh, please call me by my first name. So it's like, oh, hi, J-Lo, oh, please call me Jennifer. Like, I feel like that's such a more of a personal basis.
Yeah.
That few of us will ever get to call her Jennifer. I feel like that's too formal almost. So it's funny when you were like, for this episode, I want to call her Jennifer. I was like, it's using the informal ustedes. Okay.
I mean, it just, I don't know. It just feels like this era is like more of that and less of the persona that became J-Lo. And I think now she's very much embraced it. And I think it's more of like Beyonce has Sasha Fierce. And I don't know if she really like cares to use that anymore. I think she's obviously just grown and matured enough where that's not even really a thing for her, maybe. But like, celebrities have like different personas and things that they like channel into, and I think Jennifer Lopez definitely at this point currently in 2021 is able to like differentiate, like people are able to differentiate like Jennifer Lopez and J-Lo. Like J-Lo feels very music oriented. And I think when it started, it was just an overall like, oh, Jennifer Lopez is now J-Lo. And now I think it's very separate and that's okay. So
agreed. Okay, so here's a question on the fly for you.
Oh.
What is your street name versus what's your movie name? Or what's your music name versus your movie name?
I don't know. I do have like kind of a nickname that I use for stuff, B Money, but I just think it's funny. It's not anything like I'm like, my friends call me B Money. Like, no. So
I love that.
What's your street rap name?
Okay, well, I'm gonna go with my Hollywood name first. I always said in my mind, I've never manifested this out loud until this very moment, that if I were to ever make it to Hollywood, if I had actually like followed that path from high school and college, I don't think I would have gone by my last name, which is Yamshan. I would have gone by Simone Andrea, because to me, that's my middle name. So I felt like Simone Andrea sounded more Hollywood than that's no disrespect to my last name. I'm very proud of it. And I love being called Miss Yamshan now as a teacher. Like, I can't imagine changing my last name now because I feel like that's such a huge part of my identity.
Yeah.
But my street name, or my music name, interestingly enough to yours, I got a nickname in college. So my name is spelled Simone, and then with my first initial being a Y, some people started calling me Money.
It's perfect.
Or
Look at that.
so I don't know, Bria. Maybe we have to do B Money and Simony or Money like as our second side hustle.
Yeah. I guess my like Hollywood actor name, I would too. I think my middle name works really well. A lot of people tell me that my whole name in general like works, but I don't really care for my last name because most people mispronounce it. It's Harrell, but people always say Harrell, but it's like Pharrell, but without the P. And then there's a famous producer, Andre Harrell, who actually worked with Puffy when he started. But I like my middle name. It all really flows, Bria Michelle Harrell. So I feel like we'd be like those 80s kids like Tiffany Amber Thiessen and Jonathan
With
Taylor
3
Thomas.
names.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Okay. All right. Did you want to talk about like the recording or any background information about This Is Me then? Because I'm in my research, I found some interesting things of like,
Sure.
well, okay. First of all, I wish I had a physical copy of this because, like you were saying, Jennifer had that red book, that journal that she would kind of scribble and write all over. And that was what the inside jacket cover. And children, if you're listening to this, we talked about this before on the show, but CDs, like vinyl albums, were a spectacle that you would like collect, and you would either display the album art, like the foldable CD art that would come inside that would usually have lyrics or pictures inside of it. But in this album, This Is Me Then, she used that book, that kind of journal diary, as inspiration for her inside. So when you unfold the pamphlet, it's like just scribbles and writing in every which way direction, and it's not very like uniform and neat. So I thought that was interesting. She does do a dedication directly to Ben Affleck in the first like opening. That's like one of the first things you see in the CD jacket. And that this album was recorded in like 2 weeks. That seems short to me. But correct me if I'm wrong. You are a resident like music analysis person.
I didn't know that, but that doesn't surprise me. B-Day by Beyonce, her magnum opus. No, I'm kidding. I just really, I love that album, but that was done in like 2 weeks too. So it happens, and sometimes it's like not shitty either. Like you're like, damn, 2 weeks. I can't even process an outline in 2 weeks. Like, you're like, what? In 2 weeks? Yeah. But that doesn't surprise me because I feel like this being such the love letter it is, it probably wasn't hard for her to like write songs. So it was just probably pouring out of her at that point. I didn't really look too much into it. I didn't really find too many other like facts like that, but I do want to say that I think that so a couple years ago for the Grammys, I believe Jennifer Lopez did a Motown tribute, and everyone was like, "What? Why?"
I remember that. Or wait, was it the Grammys or American Idol?
No, it wasn't American Idol. It was definitely like an award show.
Okay. I think I remember that.
Like, out of everybody you could pick, Jennifer Lopez. But in this album, she uses a lot of samples from like Motown and like early, like that kind of era of R&B.
Yeah.
And
she's like very inspired by Luther Vandross, right?
Yeah, like Michael Jackson, Luther Vandross.
Yeah.
There's like Baby I Love You, I think is very like Supremes sounding. The stylistic, she sampled them for The One, I believe.
It sounds, no matter what I do, I'm crazy over you.
But so the stylistic song is "You Are Everything and Everything Is You," which is also has been
You
sampled.
are everything.
Yeah, it has been sampled by a lot of other. I think "Still" is a sample, or am I tripping? No, I'm still thinking of the one. But there's lots of samples in this album from that era, and I think now I understand. I understand why she wanted to do the Motown tribute. I still don't think the Grammys should have been like, yeah, this is a great direction. Like, and not to shade like her performance or anything, but I just think that there are obviously African American performers and just stronger vocalists in general.
Okay. Yes, I remember now that you said that there were a lot of people being like, you, not to shit on Jennifer Lopez, but there could have been a lot more stronger vocal performances to do that.
And like she could have still been in it, but like a popular thing on BET award shows is that they'll tribute a specific artist, but they'll have various artists do like a song, like, and they'll do a medley of their songs. And they could have did that for the Motown tribute. And okay, like Jennifer Lopez loves Motown. Okay, she could do a song, but like they could have had other people chip in for that. But anyways, I really like that element of this album. And I think that really plays into, again, the love and the theme of it all. So yeah. I just wanted to nod to that. But yeah. That's shady.
What?
For Loving You, which I can't think of how it sounds right now, I wrote, I love when people have songs that don't necessarily match their actions. Beyonce.
Oh.
I think because that song is like not giving up on love. And and we could segue from this, unless you have anything else to say about the album, into Bennifer and Jennifer Lopez's dating history. But I think that song is like about not giving up on love and sticking through it. And clearly with Cris Judd, like she's just like, it wasn't working. And I think she's quoted too as saying like, I respect marriage too much to stay in something that's not working, and stuff. And I feel twofold about that. Like, because I feel like that's like, we've been taught that marriage is hard and it's not easy and it's not supposed to be easy and you're going to have problems and stuff and you're supposed to stick through that stuff because that's what the commitment is. But I'm also like, I personally, like, I haven't dated, but like that's partially because I don't want to deal with the drama of dating. Like, I don't want to like stick around for the bullshit. I'm like, why does there have to be bullshit? Like, why can't it just be fun? Like, if it's not that, I don't want it. And I saw a tweet about quitting, and people love to talk about not quitting and how they stick with things and stuff like that. And this person was like, I love quitting. Like, I will quit after a week, a month, a year. If I don't want to do something anymore, I quit. Normalize quitting often. And I was just like, that's a different perspective. And I was like, damn, that sounds like Jennifer Lopez's dating life. Like, hey, like, if this is not working, deuces. I am not. And I'm not like, behind closed doors, I'm sure there's like back and forth and all that stuff. But like, I feel like with breakups, she's very sure, she's never, at least, and two, in the media, you never know because they practice the shit that they say. But she's never looking down and out after a breakup for the most part.
No, yeah. She always looks fine, and she seems to find some other person or company to keep afterwards to kind of help ease the pain of that breakup.
Yeah, so I have a theory, and I shared this on Twitter, but my theory is that makes her the winner in the breakup. Because like, if you look at right now, like with the A-Rod stuff, homegirl was getting cheated on, right?
Yep.
And it was a big thing, and everyone was like, oh, and then power boss move is okay, we're done. And now I'm back with Ben Affleck, bitches.
Yup.
Like, she totally has taken like that, like the power in that narrative and flipped it, and now A-Rod looks like a little bitch. Like that is just not prepared. Like, and she's just like
No.
gallivanting in Miami, like looking happy and sexed up with Ben Affleck, and everyone is just like, yes, hot girl
Yes.
summer. Like,
So, okay, this is a question that popped into my mind as I was listening to this album and within the past few weeks as this new Bennifer 2.0 has been unfolding. That, do you think, Bria, in Ben Affleck's tough times, because he's no saint either, you know, as he married Jennifer Garner, they had children. Like, he I don't want to say infamously, but like that was a cheating with the nanny situation.
yeah, I forgot about that. Wow.
And that sucks. And like, you think about Jennifer Garner, who's just so damn sweet, and it's like, it's hard because I have some opinions about their relationship, but then I have separate opinions about Ben Affleck as a person in general. But I'm just gonna go ahead. Do you think, Bria, in Ben Affleck's spare time, whether he was married to Jennifer Garner or in between, I think about that very famous paparazzi picture where he's outside of his house and he's like smoking a cigarette and he's just posted against the wall and he just has that face of like, fuck.
Yeah.
Like, he just looks so damn tired. And as a teacher with 3 days before summer vacation, I feel that picture 1,000,000%. Do you think that he ever went back and re-listened to that album? Do you ever think he would listen to like Dear Ben? Do you think that he goes back to listen to that album and like thinks about that time? Yes or no? And then I want an MLA format with your reasons, evidence, why, with cited sources.
Okay, my answer is no. But okay. I think that he probably definitely thinks about memories. Maybe he watches Gigli in Jerseyville.
I laugh because I haven't watched it yet, and I hear it's less spicy. So
once you watch it, you might understand why I said that.
Okay.
But like, I don't pin him as like someone who would listen to an album like this, like, you know, but maybe in his iPod, he's like,
his little secret, like, little iPod shuffle.
Yeah, he like renamed the album just in case, like Jen, you know, it's like, oh, let's play like, why do you have Jennifer Lopez on here still?
Or he has it saved in his home computer to his iCloud, but he like changed the name to like pictures of grandma's birthday, and he
I feel like I say that no on the album, but maybe yes on other stuff, because he's consistently been really positive about talking about her in the press post, you know, their breakup, and even prior to them reuniting. Obviously, they haven't said anything to the press since they've been spotted together.
Those little turtle doves, they're being so secretive.
But yeah, I think he looks upon that time very fondly, and I think that they both were very much in love and wanted it to work. And I think that us nosy ass fans and tabloids and the paparazzi kind of fucked it up for them in a way. And I saw the Pat O'Brien interview. I think Jennifer Lopez is like, you know, I think that the way we handle this is that we don't hide and try to be really private and stuff and just like live, you know, openly and in front of the world and stuff. And I think that bit them in the ass because it was like, it was never enough. And I think too, when you're a celebrity, because I think she said this at one point, is that like, you know, you hope that, you know, something else will come along and now the attention shifts. But with couples, it never really subsides until there's a downfall. Like there's always going to be interest, and there might be another big couple at the time, or something new, but like if something's going on with you, like that's still going to be very relevant. It's not going to be like, oh, Jen and Ben did what? Oh no, yeah, we're running with the Ashton and Demi story. Like it's like, no, okay, we'll put Ashton and Demi as like the big headline, but we'll shove Ben and Jen in like the corner, like,
Oh my God.
and
Ashton
it's still yeah. And that was at this time too. That was a big thing. Yeah. So and then Brittany and Justin were single, like so it's just a very big era of just celeb couple. And then you have the Bennifer moniker, which hadn't happened before.
That was first, like, I mean, I don't want to say the first because there was probably something before, but like
I don't think so. I think we can actually honestly give this to them. I think they were the first.
Okay. All right. Well, you heard it here, folks. This is the first breaking news. Beep, 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 beep. No, but I mean, this is the first time I think as a kid growing up in the aughts, like I was 12, 13 when this relationship was unfolding, and definitely I remember this being one of the first celebrity power couple combination names of Bennifer. And what I think that's interesting about this new possible budding relationship between the two of them is that people don't want to call it Bennifer because they're afraid to curse it. What is it? It's like
Gingerman.
That's it.
I'm sorry. I'm calling it Bennifer 2.0.
I know. It is what it is.
First or not, even if they don't work out, thank you for giving us some semblance of entertainment in this long panini press. So like
as I'm eating this orange chicken at this Panda Express, please, I need this Bennifer.
Yes, and like the thing is on Twitter, like people were going crazy. They were like, this is what celebrities are supposed to do, entertain us. And I was like, fuck yeah, you're right. But then like again, like I said earlier, at some point we do need to like distance and be like, hey, they're people too, and this is their private life. Like, could you imagine if like the whole internet was talking about your relationship or your possibility of being in a relationship? And like I would have a therapist, like, fuck a bodyguard or a personal assistant. Like, oh, who's with you? Oh, this is my therapist.
Like, my therapist had to leave all of her other clients. She's solely with me.
Yes.
And
I think I'm onto something. Celebrities hire a personal therapist to travel with you all the time, 24/7.
I would switch my fucking degree if I could be someone's like 24/7 therapist.
I would too. Let's go back to school. Now and then, what did you think of the behemoth that was Bennifer?
So as a kid, the most things that I remember about Bennifer were through the eyes of South Park, through the Eric Cartman episode where Jennifer Lopez has possessed his hand. I'm not going to do the accent. It's very non-PC, but it's a very infamous part of like South Park's history and culture of like, it's when they were still dating. It was an episode recorded in 2002, but Eric Cartman makes his famous hand similar to Jennifer Lopez. He records one of those like mall music videos where you shoot it in like a little photo booth, but he pretends to be Jennifer Lopez. Ben Affleck then leaves the actual Jennifer Lopez to go be with the hand of Eric Cartman. Eric Cartman ends up giving Ben Affleck a hand job at some point. My name is Jennifer Lopez. I said I wouldn't do the accents. That's the only thing I was going to say. But that's what I remember as Bennifer. As I am older now, as a mid-elder, I wouldn't say a geriatric millennial, but as an elder millennial. I'm so sorry. As we're recording this is my sister's 34th birthday today. So sorry, Leah. We were like making a toast earlier about like age and stuff. It's awful. Anyways, as a senior citizen millennial,
We
now that
just got our AARP cards. Like fresh, still got the sticker on it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Please call this number to activate. Still fresh.
As someone who's still riding my father's cell phone plan, call me crazy, Bria, call me crazy, but I like Jennifer and Ben Affleck together. I thought that there was something wildly sweet and passionate about their relationship. And maybe it was because we didn't see too much about her and Cris Judd, because he was, no offense to Cris Judd, kind of a nobody because he was a backup dancer. Before then, it was her and Sean Combs, Puff Daddy, and that was blown up huge because of the persona and the infamous clubbing and shootout. I really like Jennifer and Ben Affleck together. I don't like 100% Ben Affleck as a person, but he's just so dopey, and I just think of them together as this couple of like there was this part in that interview that we were talking about with, who was the interviewer's name?
Pat O'Brien, I think.
Thank you, Pat O'Brien. He asked who wears the pants in the relationship. It took them a second to answer, but Jennifer was very polite and said, well, Ben wears the pants in the relationship. Personally, I think Jennifer is driving the wheel. I think that she was in control of the image and what was being shown of their relationship. I think Ben, when I think of someone like Ben Affleck, I think of someone as like a puppy dog, as like a very, I don't want to say loyal because he's had some loyalty issues in the past, but you know, he seems like a dog. He seems like a little puppy dog, like a little chocolate lab who just wants to be by their owner. And when I see him looking at Jennifer, I see him looking at her like, holy shit. Like, do you guys see you see that? Do you see that I'm with Jennifer? And but I love that. I think that's very sweet.
Okay, so overall, in that interview, I think Pat O'Brien asked him something like, "What's your friends say about like you dating Jennifer Lopez?" And he's like, "Oh man, like I got so many like phone calls from like guys from back home that I like hadn't heard from. Like, hey, is it true? Like you're dating Jennifer, like you're dating J-Lo?" Like, and I think he gives me that he's very Bostonian, I feel like. But
yeah, he's from like Boston, right? Like
Massachusetts. Yeah. And that's like famously why they connected so much, which like they very much are like, I don't get why it's such a shock to people. And I'll be honest, I think it's a racial thing. I think nobody thought Ben Affleck would date like this hot ass Latina superstar. Like he was dating Gwyneth Paltrow prior to that.
That's right. I was going to ask before we took a pause in recording about when was, because it was Gwen and Ben, and then Jen and Ben, and then Jen and Ben again.
He loves a rhyming scheme.
He does. So he was with Gwen Paltrow after Gwen Paltrow was with Brad Pitt.
Brad Pitt, yes.
Right. Okay.
Which, like, this can get cut for time, but like, I am amazed at the fucking men Gwyneth Paltrow has pulled, because baby, Brad Pitt, like, come on, he is easily top 10, like, hottest Hollywood guys ever. And then Ben Affleck, not so bad himself, a stud in his own right. And then the sweet artistic Chris Martin. Like, how does she deserve? How? Like, what spell is she? Like,
it's the goop. It's the goop.
It is the vagina perfume. Like, I don't know what is going on down there. It's the vajazzles, it's the vagina steams, it's the yoni eggs, it's all of the I don't know.
It's all of the above. Listen, Gwyneth Paltrow is probably, in my opinion, one of the most problematic like female celebrities out there, just with the horrific shit that she spats at people of like what to do. It's so ableist and privileged, but Regardless, she's pulled some hottie bo bodies and 2 like sexiest men of the years. I don't know if Chris Martin ever got it, but like,
No.
hello, Brad Pitt and B. Affleck, like she locked it down.
Yes. Okay, so anyways, back to Ben Affleck
There you
and
go.
Jennifer Lopez
Thank
Bennifer.
you.
Um, but yeah, so I think like okay, I think they work so well in that it was so hyped up
Yeah.
because they are so glamorous together.
Yes.
And I will say that, like, I feel like Jennifer Lopez with Puff Daddy had this very like hip hop spin to her, you know, and then obviously we started getting J Lo stuff, and she's very like bling bling and the Versace dress and all that kind of very like ooh like stuff, and then the club shooting. So her press with Puffy was very like oh like bad boy type of stuff,
Mhm.
like Bonnie and Clyde, like ride or die type of stuff. And we learned that she's not about that life. She's like, I am not gonna ride and die, so I'm gonna exit left.
Mhm.
Um, and then Cris Judd, like it I don't want to just call him a rebound, but he is in a way. But I feel like I feel like with him, obviously she's the star in that relationship. And like
Yeah.
you're like, oh, they're cute together. And she has this very boho. She seems a little like she's trying to be like a little more laid back with him and not so like hyped up like she was with Puffy.
Mhm.
But like she's so glamorous with Ben Affleck, and she's so like feminine and girly, and like I have like a Google search of just Jennifer Lopez 2002 2004, which of course has so many Bennifer pictures, but like the way she looks at him and the way she talks about him and her choice of like what she's wearing and stuff during
It's
this
almost
time.
that she forgot she was Jennifer Lopez and she put him as this like pedestal
Mhm.
higher than above herself.
Yes, absolutely. And I think that just sold it even more. Like you're just like, yes, like I want this for her. I want this happy ever after. And the fact that they got engaged before her divorce was even final, like no
Yeah.
one that would have been scandalous right now. Like it'd be like,
Oh
what?
yeah.
No one
It
cared. It was like Chris Judd who? Like she was married? Oh
yeah.
when? Like
Exactly. So for those who don't know, she filed for divorce for Cris Judd in June of 2002. Ben Affleck proposed in November. So
damn.
it's a really quick turnaround.
Yeah.
And maybe, I mean, I'm sorry, Chris, but just maybe due to his status, there was just kind of like, you're right. Like Cris Judd, whoo, and then all of a sudden they're like, oh yes, color me Bennifer. They were so much more intrigued about that.
Which I have to like, oh man, props to you, Chris Judd, because if I was in his shoes at that time and like your ex, like already getting a divorce is terrible.
Yeah.
And then breaking up with somebody is terrible. Breaking up with someone in the public eye is like 10 times bad as that. And then the moving on to like this huge ass relationship is like 100 times worse. So
Yes.
props to him for getting through that. And
Props.
maybe he was like, fuck it over it and absolutely did not care. But like, I know I would have been like in the grocery store, like fucking like People magazine, like, like I could not have handled it. So yeah, props to him. But like the engagement ring, let's talk about the engagement ring, the pink
Okay.
diamond, which was like it was such a big deal at that time. Like it started the whole like colored diamonds trend kind of. And I'm so recently people have pointed out that in pictures of Bennifer 2.0,
Mm-hmm.
Ben Affleck is wearing a bracelet that he
Mm.
had when they were together and that allegedly Jennifer gave him. And so part of me is like, I wonder if the ring's still like, I hope it's not at the bottom of the ocean. Like, or like, I hope like someone didn't like take it apart, make a pendant out of it or something. Like
Yeah. What do
that
you
ring should be
think?
in a
What do you
museum.
think celebrities do with their old rings? Like if it's in a safe somewhere for safekeeping or if they sell it?
This one should have been kept. I'm just saying. I
Yeah.
think she gave it back to him though, just
Oh,
because it
she
was
did.
so much money. Yeah.
It's so pretty, that like light quartzy pink color.
Yes.
It's really
Super
pretty.
rare. Like,
Very rare.
oh, I love it. But yeah, I don't know what I mean. I think we both are just fawning over like how amazing they were. So like she did an interview with Diane Sawyer. I don't know if you watched that, but in
Mm-mm.
that she's very much like giddy, and like Diane Sawyer's like, so are you engaged? Are you getting married? And she's like, Diane, like
Diane!
and she's like, yes, like we are. And it's like the first time that comes out and stuff. And like just the whole interview, like how she talks about him, like that's the shit that like you grow up, like that's what you think love should look like in a way.
Yeah.
And I don't want to idolize a, a relationship I absolutely know nothing about except from what was sold to us. But god damn it, I bought into it. And even the breakup, like Jennifer Lopez says that like this was her first big heartbreak, which is like amazing for someone who was married twice, like and in very high profile relationships. So, and I think it stuck with her for a while. So it's no wonder to me that they're trying to remix it. Like
So between Jennifer and Ben is that, I remember another part about this interview is that he kept on asking like, well, when did you fall in love? And she said, we can't really pinpoint it. Like, we became friends first meeting on the set of this film, or they met at like a party or something, but that they actually shared supposedly their first kiss on the film of Gigli, which again, we will put a pause in that conversation until next week. But that they had set a wedding for September of 2003, and that Lopez was pretty set on changing her last name to Affleck after the wedding, and that but they never really made it to the altar. They canceled days before the ceremony, and they chalked it up to excessive media attention. So, Bria, do you have any speculation? Do you think it was excessive media attention, or do you think there was something else happening?
I think it was a mix of things. I think it was definitely excessive media attention. And if I want to be like messy about it, I think for Ben, like I don't think he enjoyed the attention he was getting.
Attention, yeah, because he was pretty quiet. Like, Ben Affleck's a notable character in Hollywood, no doubt. During this time, he had just done Pearl Harbor. He had, which I have a lot of opinions on that movie, anyways. But now I'm like two White Claws and a wine in about this conversation. So Ben Affleck, though, I think further on in his career has done a lot more like more notable things. But he's very much a heartthrob. He has already gotten like sexiest man of the year. But I think he
got sexiest man alive because of Bennifer, if I'm honest.
So.
Because
I agree.
She makes him so much hotter.
Agreed. Now. Like I said, he's a golden retriever, but not necessarily a show dog. He is a cute dog to have in your family, but not a show quality dog. Am I wrong?
Oh my god.
Am I wrong in that?
No.
So
okay,
Ben,
yeah.
I think Ben's cute, but I don't like. But seeing them together, there's something that's a little off caliber there. So I think, like, even looking at pictures of the two of them together, like, he always has this look of like, holy shit, can you see who I'm standing with right now? Not necessarily that he was like out of his league, but just I agree. I think that Jennifer was someone who maybe not necessarily was used to being in the spotlight, but had already had experience being in the spotlight, whereas Ben Affleck necessarily didn't have the same kind of spotlight attention that Jennifer had, but as he was beginning to gain it, was like, oh fuck, like he didn't really know what he was getting into.
Yeah, and that's why I think he said he regretted doing the music video for Jenny on the Block, because it made that worse. Whereas his intention was probably just to be supportive of his girlfriend at the time, his fiance, and it just made their situation more like eyes upon it and stuff. And then I think too that like allegedly like you said, like Ben Affleck has had some problems and
Mm-hmm.
he had I think in the Pat O'Brien, like in like the bumpers for that,
Mm-hmm.
there was something I watched and it was like, um, did I write that down? Oh, okay, yes. Okay, so it's VH1 All Access. And one of the lines is like, she's in and out of marriages and he's in and out of rehab. And I was just like, wow, okay.
Were they
like,
talking about Bennifer?
yes, like that was like a one liner
Was
to,
he in and out of rehab at that point?
yeah,
Damn, he's been
apparently.
struggling with that for a long time then.
Yes. And so I brought this up because I was like, in terms of like the demise of them, I think the media had a role to play, but also I think like allegedly, just like with Jennifer Garner, like Ben Affleck was going out drinking and gambling, and Jennifer Lopez does not drink or do drugs.
No, she's
And
very clean.
she's not a gambler either, really, because she talked about a Vegas trip that they took with her family, I think for Thanksgiving or something. But I'm sure that that might have like had some problems as well as in their relationship. And who knows if his drinking, like, I don't know at that time if he was drinking a lot, like while they were together, but if he was, like, it probably was exasperated by like the paparazzi coverage of them, of just, oh my God, like I'm in over my head in this relationship. Like, and probably the quickness of it. Like, yeah, they were in love, but she just got divorced. Like, give it
Or
some
in the
time.
process
like,
of.
like date each other. Have some, like, you're very into each other right now. Like, what are you gonna do when you hate each other? Like, why are you
Yeah.
getting married so soon?
I don't know. I'm curious to see how Bennifer 2.0 or J- Jen
Gingerman.
Genjamin, thank you, how Genjamin sees its way out in this Lord and Savior of 2021. But
You
I
know,
don't know. I think that there's a part of me where I see, and maybe again, this is just me holding on to the nostalgia of my youth, but I think that there was something there. I think that there
yeah.
was something there in their relationship, that their chemistry was very sweet. I didn't see that with her and Puff Daddy. I didn't see
Mm-hmm.
that with her and Cris Judd and her previous relationships before then. Mark Anthony, we'll get to that eventually in this podcast, but I mean, obviously that's like her longest marriage and that's where there are children involved, but I think that there was something very endearing and sweet in that relationship.
Yeah.
Whether it was wrong or right, I don't know. Go ahead.
No, I was thinking about the Diane Sawyer interview because Diane was like, how do you know like Ben's the one? Or how do you know like what's different about this? And like Jennifer is like, I think because I'm like, this is the most I've been scared. And I think that says so much. I was just like, oh my because I can only imagine, I've never been in that situation, but the way she said that of like she really doesn't want, like she wants this to work and she doesn't want to lose him or like this feeling. And I think in her album too there's some songs that play to that. um I think I want to say it's the song Again. It's
Mm-hmm.
like towards the end. um or no, I think it's I've Been Thinking, and it's about being scared to be in love.
Mm.
um yeah, like in that whole interview, like just screams like somebody in love. You're just like, you're kind of disgusted by how giddy and happy and like when like Diane Sawyer's like, oh, describe Ben to like, and she's like, "Ugh," and you're just like, oh God, like it's cute, but then you're like, okay, like we get it. But yeah, I mean, part of me, like I too, I think nostalgia is a huge part of everyone being very much invested in this. I do hope that we've learned from Bennifer 2 1.0 and we do give them a little bit of space. I think the I just think the timing and the panini press of it all is like probably just amplifying it. I see so much stuff all the time that's just semi related to them,
Yes.
but I will say that I think personally, if I were to give JLo some advice, is like I know she loves love and she really hasn't given up on it, but probably like just don't get married anymore. Like just enjoy your life, enjoy a really strong partnership with someone if that's like longevity is what you want. But I'm also here for her like having a hot girl summer. If this is just like the biggest rebound and she's just like trying to throw it into A-Rod's face, like, oh, you thought we were a power couple? Like I will show you what a power couple was and is. But if they actually worked out too, I would be super stoked. But part of me is just like kind of waiting for the shoe to drop in a way. Just like, how long is it really going to last?
Yeah, I feel you on that one. And as someone who has perceived Jennifer Lopez, maybe besides Mark Anthony aside, as someone who is kind of like a chronic dater or just someone who's like post relationship looking for that fulfillment, I hope she just, I'm with you in that I'm down this Jennifer Lopez rabbit hole and I want good things for her. She's done nothing wrong to me that I felt like I'm not I'm not anti JLo versus like I can look at Ben Affleck and be like he's done some shady shit that I don't necessarily wish him happiness 100% of the time. But I hope that whatever she's looking for in her future pursuits, that she finds this stability and love and care and someone who can match her level and give her what she's looking for. And it'll be interesting, Bria, going forward in this podcast as we wrap up, because keep in mind, folks, we are only in 2002. We've started in 1996. We're only 6 years into this podcast. We still have 17 more years to get to if we're going up to 2019 Hustlers, right? Like, so I don't know. I think of like by the time we potentially wrap up this season about Jennifer Lopez, that like who knows what the future is going to have in store for us. And maybe when we move on to our next actor for roll call, that maybe we might have to go back and do another special not so mini episode where we talk about like
updates.
And in 2025 news, let's talk about Jennifer Lopez.
I am all for that. I am on this train, and Jennifer Lopez has not done anything negative to me personally, but I have heard a story from someone, a friend of their cousin who was around her working, and it was not that nice, but I don't know. She's my problematic fave at this point. Like, I kind of don't, not that I don't care, but like, part of me is just like, I mean, she's fucking JLo. What do you expect? Jennifer, the threshold, like, whatever you tell me JLo has done or wronged you in some way, it's a pretty high threshold for me to absolutely like throw her away and be like, oh, well, fuck JLo. Like, at this point, like, it's going to have to be something like ridiculous. Like, and then in other celebrity couples, just to like flesh out like how dynamic Bennifer was, Demi Moore and Ashton Kutcher had just like become a thing. Brad and Jennifer Aniston were still a thing and still very, very like popular, but not obviously to the level that Brangelina wound up being. And then Nick and Jessica were a huge thing, especially because of the Newlyweds. So it was definitely a time of very famous and dynamic celebrity power couples. And then I think we're on the verge of Jay-Z and Beyonce because 2003 Crazy in Love comes out, and it's definitely like, are they dating or are they like, they're dating, right? Like,
I mean, you have a really good timeline. Like, I think that wraps up the 2002 2003 era, because by 2004 Bennifer's over, and by June Jennifer moves on to Mark Anthony. So I think that 2004 was just a personal whirlwind for me, but I don't remember a lot. But I do remember this. And I do also remember 2004, 2005. That's when Brad Pitt and Jennifer Aniston had called it quits because Brad Pitt was going after Angelina Jolie. And I remember that was like a huge thing.
I just want to say that I totally understand Jennifer Lopez's dating pattern.
Totally.
I'm all for it. You come out on top and looking like the winner you are, baby. Don't let these men clown you in these streets. Like,
don't let these men be fooled by the rocks that you have, Jenny. We know that you are still Jenny from the block. We know that you have this is me then mentality, this intimate, sweet, delicate side of you. We love that so much about you, Jennifer.
So thank you guys for listening through this babble that was Bennifer. I'm sure if anybody is still talking about this, they are very much fangirling incoherent as we were. So awesome for you for sticking through this. And our next episode will be on Bennifer movies, Gigli. And I don't know if we're combining Gigli or in Jersey Girl, but we'll figure that out. And
that's right. We're gonna see if we should take a deep dive down this IMDb rabbit hole and combine two shit show movies, or just give appreciations to as they are individually as films.
Yes, awesome. So come back next week for sure if you want to go back on that roller coaster with us as we watch movies and talk about them. And this has been another episode of Roll Call, and I'm your host, Bria.
I'm your host, Simone.
And come back, baby, because I fucked up. This has been another episode of Roll Call.
Yeah, please come back. Please do. And let's take bets now on how many stars we would give Gigli versus how many stars Lil Raj will give Gigli.
Ooh.
But yeah, I
stop being so hard at yourself.
I will be hard on myself until the day I die, until the day I die, until the day